AITA for telling my friend and colleague I'm looking for another job after she was promoted instead of me. Trigger warning. Self-harm. I, 42M, have been at my job for 8 months now. But I've known my manager, deputy manager, and another colleague for a few years. I worked with them for 2 years and left to go to my last job in 2019 where I stayed until last year. When I was talking to my manager when I was going for this job, I told him that I have ambition and I wanted to leave that job because I was working as good as a manager but not being paid or recognized for it, and he said that this role will be restructured when people leave/retire this year, and basically as he remembers how good a worker I was, I'd be definitely in consideration for a senior managerial role. So I've been there 8 months, passed my probation and done really well. I have a colleague in my last place, 36F, who I worked with for the last 2 years and we're actually good friends too. I also know her husband really well from back in the day. I actually approached her for the job and put in a good word for her. She's brilliant at her job. Very quick learner and really proficient. And truth be told, she's been doing really well since she started in May. I've also been training her. Sod's Law thought that I left my last place, because they refused to promote anyone and didn't want a manager, but as soon as I left, they promoted her and gave her a pay rise to try and keep her. I had last week off on annual leave, and when I came back this week, my manager took me to one side for a meeting on Monday. He told me he wanted me to know before anyone else that the restructure is now happening and they're creating a supervisor role. And my colleague is the one who's been offered the job. He knew I was gutted about it and I asked him why, and he said basically as good as I am, he thinks she would be better as a manager and has more qualities that suit it, and also as she's technically been a senior in the last role, it looks better to higher ups. I said I wasn't happy and that I want to be a manager one day, and he said that I'm an amazing employee, probably the most reliable on my team and technically the most proficient, but doesn't think I have the qualities to be a manager. I was just so deflated I zoned out for the rest of his spiel and went back to work afterwards. He announced it and everyone was all happy for her and congratulating her. I basically was quiet. I messaged her later on about it, trying to joke around as we have that sort of humor. I was all like, thanks a lot for nicking my job, mate, really appreciate it. She was trying to be all sympathetic back, saying, no, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad. How do you feel? I said basically I'm going to look for another job, I don't think I can stay there after that. She was going like, no, don't leave, is it because of me? I said yeah, basically, I'm done, and she went, please don't, I'll need you now more than ever. I said you'll be fine, just don't get a job wherever I go and steal my promotion again, mate, lol. She didn't reply and left me on 2 blue ticks. I've been doing the bare minimum the rest of this week, especially on my working from home days. I've updated my CV and am applying for other jobs. She's tried to talk to me this week and so have others. I feel like I just want to get out there. Consensus from the comments. You are the a-hole. People point out that while his feelings are valid, his coworker is not at fault and doesn't deserve his ire. They also tell him just because he is good at his job doesn't mean he is manager material. Update 1. Okay, so before my update, just to clarify, mainly regarding the way I've reacted to my colleague who was promoted and the criticism, I shouldn't take it out on her and I was unprofessional in the way I acted. Yep, 100% I will own that I probably was unprofessional. But in my defense, one of the reasons that I accepted this job was because I told my manager I was leaving my last place because they kept on promising me promotion and then it never happened, and he did say I would be in contention for a senior role there. And then I've trained her twice only for her to now be my boss and have to report to her and tell me what to do. It's happened before to me and it never ends well. The promoted person always treats you like shit and lets it go to their head. So now for the actual update. The manager took me to one side for a meeting on Tuesday, as people have said to him they've seen how down I am and not my usual self, and as it was after our last meeting, he wanted to see how I feel now. I basically told him, I feel hurt, that if I knew I wouldn't have left my last place and definitely wouldn't have recruited my old colleague in. He said it was a professional decision and that it had nothing to do with me as a person, and gave me some feedback. That she's calm under pressure and doesn't make little errors I sometimes do when I'm stressed, doesn't take criticism personally and doesn't get angry when people are angry with her, whereas I need to work on those last 2 points. He said to give my promoted colleague my support, learn from her, etc. I personally don't agree and think I could train those things, and was pretty annoyed by the last, learn from her, spiel bit, but I just bit my tongue. Also, he said as her last role was senior on her CV, it's far easier to make someone a manager when they've done it on paper when he's talking to his managers. He stressed again I'm an amazing asset, still the best worker in the team, and my technical and legislative knowledge is the best and my data analysis skills are very powerful. And that the reports I create are very helpful especially for his bosses and they notice how valuable my skills are, and still mention to him about how good this report I made for him bespoke not long after I joined the company. That just because I'm not a manager, I'm in no way less important. I said like that's all well and good but that isn't going to give me the pay rise I want, the satisfaction that I've reached my own personal and professional goals is it. He said maybe I shouldn't see being a manager as the be-all and end-all and maybe look up a technical role and do the other level 4 technical qualification instead of the manager course that develops my knowledge and technical skills to be even better at my job. He said hardly anyone goes that route and I definitely should and be the technician of the team, the one everyone asks for advice and develop our procedures of the department more. And that maybe yes, at the moment it wouldn't increase my salary for the time being but being qualified in that way and having that role on an unofficial basis, he could take my case to his bosses and argue that it should be an actual official role in the department created just for me that is a senior role and I should be paid more on par with a manager because I'm worth it but not have to worry about managing people. And failing that, one of his long-term goals is to increase our importance in the company hierarchy and increase our personal grades and salary bands so eventually it won't matter I'm a manager as we'll all be paid well. So yes, it won't happen overnight and won't be imminent but he'll do his best. He said to think about it, don't do anything rash, give 100% and we'll discuss it in my annual appraisal in 3 months' time. So in a nutshell, he didn't say this I'm summarizing, she's better than me, be her lackey and I won't be promoted but keep on working hard to make everyone else look good in a vague hope big bosses eventually give me a pay rise. This could take years, the course is a year minimum and then I have to stay there 2 years so I don't have to pay the course back so I'll be in my mid-40s then which is really too old to be getting a first-time manager gig in my profession. I was pretty down after that and have just kept to myself, I've not slacked but haven't busted my arse either. She, promoted colleague, messaged me and asked me if we could go for a dinner-time walk Wednesday to clear the air and talk. I told her I'd rather not, that I just want to think for a bit and haven't got anything to say so she respected it and had left me alone and said to talk when I'm ready. I'm sick of talking things out with people like this, I just want to think for myself for a bit without anyone trying to convince me of shit that suits them or make me feel okay, they only ever talk at you, but never listen to you. I've put my CV out there too in a few places. I got a message quite quickly from an old client that I dealt with in my last job asking if I want to talk about a senior role at their company in my profession so I had a team chat earlier and it went well, they'll let me know if it's going to go to a formal interview soon. Update 2. First and foremost, I didn't get that job. Got a call from my old client contact to say they're going to try and cope with the resources they have in-house for the foreseeable future and see if it's a success. But he stressed they thought I was great, I'm the sort of person they'd recruit if they were going to recruit so he said he'd keep my CV and details on file and if it doesn't work 6 to 12 months from now, I'd be first on the list for an interview. I personally think it's all a load of bollocks and I'll never hear from him again so if I do, I'll eat my own arse. I've also been applying for more jobs. One, a recruitment agent rang me about and it seemed promising but as typical UK recruitment agent bullshit, they then contacted me back not long after saying they didn't go for me but they'd keep my details on file, get in contact if there's anything suitable etc. etc. Everything else is no good, either for less money or if it is okay, too far away in the country to even commute realistically. But I'm keeping my eyes open, and am very selective. I've checked out at work now and am doing the basics. I've had enough now, I just don't want to be here anymore. I'm doing the minimum this week and also doing my contracted hours. Getting in on time, leaving on time, having my exact lunch break and not eating at my desk. People keep on asking me if I'm okay, I've just said yeah I'm fine. Also asking for my usual dad jokes as it's been a couple of weeks and I've said I don't have any. Our department deputy manager, big boss deputy, not recently promoted colleague, came back from holiday Monday and was talking to us all and they mentioned about this work experience person who's coming in next month and she said the plan was for her to sit with me for the time she's with us and get me to show her things, train her etc. I said no, I don't think I'm comfortable with it and to get her to sit with someone else. She said why and I said to chat with our manager newly promoted colleague about it. She just went quiet and I didn't hear anymore, manager has been working from home so I haven't seen him. Also, we've been taking in some different work from the whole restructuring thing and there's this one task procedure we're going to have to do. A few people in my team were talking about it including a promoted colleague. Instantly, I knew the sorts of things we should do. Create a new database/spreadsheet, get IT to write particular codes, write this sort of report to use and have people check in a certain way. But I kept quiet. Didn't say anything. Someone asked me, what do you think, this is right up your alley. I just said I had no idea, I think management should look at it. Which kind of ended my input in the conversation. The promoted colleague is now starting to train with the deputy in the tasks that she's going to take over from her and the manager in the restructure. Also, she's been included in the team's managers' calls meetings. And I've seen it all in front of me. Feels like rubbing salt into the wound. I also didn't go to the celebratory meal that was held to celebrate my colleague's promotion last night. The deputy manager and another colleague who's been on holiday too decided to book something as soon as they heard about the promotion and said we need an excuse to do something social. I said no, it's my karate class and I'm not missing a lesson, and people were going no come, don't be a Grinch, you can miss a lesson mate, and weren't really giving me an opportunity to say no, so I said I'll see what I can do, and were at me all week. And then I just didn't turn up. I had a few WhatsApp messages in the work group chat and texts, but I said sorry, can't leave my class early. I just guarantee they'd be bitching about me, lol. It's my WFH day today myself, and I've not heard from anyone this morning yet, not even to ask me any questions. I think people are catching on now. I dare say when I'm back next week and the manager is in the office, I'll probably be having a sit down with him and the deputy and have another chat. I look forward to it, not lol. Therapy is useless, honestly. It's the equivalent of not getting a girlfriend then seeing a prostitute. They act like they care, but they're just doing it for the money. Ah, therapy. People always suggest that. And let's face it, it's only because it makes me nicer to be around. Update 3. I wasn't expecting to update so soon, but today was quite unexpected. I got into work and my manager asked to see me in the office. I went in and they had this printout on the desk and asked me to read it. It was my posts, including the one about self-harm which has been shared elsewhere, and they asked me if I could confirm if it's me. I was so shocked I didn't know what to say, which definitely isn't like me, so I just didn't say anything. So the deputy asked if they could see my arms and I just didn't have any motivation to refuse, so I showed them. They were really shocked, and my manager was just like, bloody hell mate. Looking at my burns, I asked how they knew and they said my promoted colleague saw it on social media, so she told them, as she was really concerned. He said if he didn't see the posts he'd be having a very different conversation with me, but he said they can't ignore it anymore and they just want to help me now. He said they'll write last week off, start again, but I need to help myself now and seek help. He said he's arranged for me to have a meeting with our employee assistance program this week and it's non-negotiable now. I said it doesn't matter though, my career is fucked, isn't it, and I'll never progress, and said I really shouldn't be worrying that for now. But he stressed he's still very serious about the technical role and has spoken to his boss about it, and if I can demonstrate I'm serious about it, do the course, it definitely could happen. It's not just a fob off. But I need to definitely concentrate on my mental health for now, as it's far more important than money. My deputy tried to talk to me and just said, this reminded me of my dad when I read it, it's really upset me, and couldn't talk anymore and looked like she was going to cry a bit, so let the manager carry on. He said to me he's not just my boss, he's my friend and really doesn't want to see me struggle, so he really wants to help. We've agreed I can take the week off, I'll use some annual leave so I can clear my head. He'll tell the team whatever I want. I said I don't mind them knowing the truth, that I'm not doing so well and it's pointless to lie. We shook hands and that was it. Later on, his boss took me to one side as he's in the office today, and he basically asked him how I am and I said not so good. He said he knows I can do it, and he showed me his wrists. He's got scars and he said he was in a bad way years ago, so knows how it is and I can talk to him anytime. I messaged my promoted colleague and said thank you, I really appreciate it. She just sent me a message. This is likely to be my last post about this, at least for a while. My boss said he thinks I should try and stay offline for a bit, and I do agree. Thanks again all for just taking the time again, really do appreciate it.